This is a Geek Leader podcast, and I'm your host, John Rauda. This show is all about helping us grow as leaders, become better technologists, and improve our lives both at work and at home. I hope you enjoy the show and learn a lot. Hello, world, and welcome to a Geek Leader podcast. I'm your host, John Rauda. Today's sponsor is A2 Hosting. I've been using A2 Hosting solid state hosting solutions for our website at geekleader.com for many years now, and absolutely love their support, their service, and all the features that you get. You get access to cPanel. You get all of the things that you can imagine for a great WordPress experience, including their A2 optimized WordPress, which does extra security checks, extra lockdown. You can lock down your editor file so you can't edit anything inside there. You get alerts whenever there are file changes that are done. You can also do automatic updates, backups, and more with A2 Hosting. So highly recommend it. Go to geekleader.com/A2 to get more information and to sign up for their solid state turbocharged speed hosting today. Again, that's at geekleader.com/A2. All right, Geek Leaders, today on the show, I'm honored to have Yair Riemer here. He is the CEO of Intoo, which is a career mobility solution. I love to talk to people from HRtech groups, which is pretty awesome. He previously served as the president of CareerArc and was a founding team member and chief marketing officer of internships.com. So pretty awesome to have someone who understands this tech space, but also about kind of some of the leadership aspects that is super important to us in technology when it comes to growing, managing, and leading our teams in the right direction. So with all that being said, I'm honored to have Yair on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, John. Looking forward to it.
Man, if you don't mind, just tell me a little bit about kind of how you got to where you are in your career. I kind of give some highlights, but where did it all start, and what is it that you guys are doing at Intoo today?
Yeah, absolutely. So been fortunate enough to sort of grow up on kind of what I would say on the cusp between being a digital immigrant, maybe my parents' generation, and sort of a digital native, the millennials. And so just straight out of college, I was living and studying and working in Israel, where I was born. And there's a really big focus on speed and innovation and technology innovation there in that country. And so I got my first job at a startup, was doing search engine optimization, marketing, content stuff. And I really was attracted to the pace of working at a company that was trying to solve big problems and being innovative. And so I've made my career working and building up sort of small ideas into businesses. I really enjoyed sort of that 0 to 1 pathway. How do you get something that's on a wireframe or on a piece of paper, and how do you bring it out to the world? How do you commercialize it? How do you get customer feedback? So yeah, over the course of my career, worked at a number of different startups. You mentioned a couple of them. One was called Amuzu. We did mobile education, mobile apps for higher education. Worked at internships.com, which was amazing ride. Built the world's largest internships marketplace. And then CareerArc, B2B HR technology, and now it's Intoo. In my role at Intoo, I'm the CEO of Career Development Technology Company. So we are a B2B organization. We work directly with HR leaders, so VPs of HR, directors of HR, leadership development, L&D, and we help them with career development tools for their employees. So that could be a layoff or reduction in force. How do we help someone transition out of the organization? And we have tools to help someone career assessments, career coaching, get a new job, career technology. Or I'm inside of an organization, and how do I help move that person from role A to role B, right? Maybe I'm an accountant. I want to move to be a consultant. Maybe I'm in client success. I want to move to be in marketing or sales. We build career technology. We have career coaching that enables you to move from point A to point B within the organization as well. So career development technology with a focus on on-demand career coaching. So we have 100 plus career coaches in the United States on demand, available via video, audio, and text chat. And our partner companies provide these career coaches to help their employees, have that career discovery, have that career development, and do their work better.
And primarily that goes through like your employee engagement officer or your HR officer or your chief people person or whatever you call it, whichever company, to kind of set that up. Is that right? Or do you work directly with individuals when it comes to that career coaching?
That's exactly right. So the head of chief people officer, the CHRO, HR business partner will come on. They'll say we have this really great group, this great team, primarily, career coaching or career development services have really only been reserved, unfortunately, to like executives, leaders, or even poor performers, special situations, right? And now with technology, we've been able to democratize that. So we say, why shouldn't everyone get a career coach? Why shouldn't someone, even if they've only had 2 or 3 years of tenure at the organization, or if they're entry level, have someone that's a neutral third party to help guide them to opportunities within the firm, to help guide them to being, the better version of themselves, self-aware, career assessments, kind of growing and changing and leading. So that's exactly right. It's primarily an initiative by forward-thinking HR leaders who are looking to kind of retain and grow their talent from a career development perspective.
So has COVID hindered or helped more in this? It sounds like most of your career coaches are going to be virtual, as far as your conversations, typically over Zoom or something to that effect. Has that hurt or helped, or kind of been neutral when it comes to like the growth of this kind of area?
Yeah, I mean, I think the growth, unfortunately, in the beginning of 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic, there was a significant spike in career transition need, outplacement, layoffs. And so our business was booming on the career transition side. Now, as the pendulum has swung a bit to the war for talent, or the great resignation we hear, right, where organizations are looking to keep hold of talent because candidates got fed up during COVID and they want to work virtually, and they had, difficult, stressful time as the whole world did. We're seeing a bigger emphasis on career development and career coaching internally to help build up teams, retention. For example, we just worked with a organization that had about 20, 30 data scientists, engineers, unbelievably skilled, super high skill. We can't help you on the technology side, right? We're not programmers, but they had trouble collaborating, and they had trouble with communication, and they had trouble with sort of self-awareness. And so we were brought in, and we help these individuals, work on themselves, understand their strengths, double down on those strengths, understand their weaknesses, explore how can I be a better communicator, how can I be a better teammate, and make myself a more valuable member. That helps the individual. They're happy about it because the company gave them this opportunity, and helps the company because it ultimately becomes more productive. So definitely a huge effect, big increase in career transition and outplacement, which Intoo also, of course, is a leader in during the pandemic. And now it's more about career coaching, development and growth.
Do you guys use tools like strength finders and those kind of things when it comes to trying to help people understand what their strengths and weaknesses are?
Exactly. Gallup Strength Finder is one. There's lots of different tools. And by the way, I encourage some of your listeners as well. There's free tools. You don't have to get them just through your organization. You can go online and do things like, Enneagrams and Myers-Briggs style tests and self-assessments.
Yeah.
There's some certain opinions on some science and some technology and psychometric assessments here and there. People have different opinions on them, but we absolutely do. We have certified coaches in all of the various assessments for leaders, for managers, for individual contributors. And what's most important isn't that you just take something and get an output. I think just like in technology, what's most important is that you understand sort of the background, behind that, and you either work through that on your own or you work through that with a coach to really create an input that's actionable, an output, that's actionable from those inputs. It's one thing to just read a report and say, oh no, I'm X or Y or Z. It's another thing to say, okay, I'm X or Y or Z, and that means I can do A, B, and C, right? Yeah. So I think that's the power of career coaching. The assessments are in there. Intoo has our proprietary assessments. We have assessments with skills, values, temperament assessments, environment assessments, and then the power of the coaches to sort of guide you to what that means is another really important benefit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially in technology, and I can talk bad about my sector since I grew up in it, but we sometimes have an ego, and we don't like the idea of like we always say, well, why do we need a mentor? Why do we need a coach? What's the purpose of that? I can do this on my own. But I think back to like the video game days, and early on, before we had the internet and we were playing like Nintendo, we had like the Nintendo Power magazine that would come out, and it would have cheat codes. And if you had those cheat codes, you could like get ahead way faster. And a coach and a mentor is really like that cheat code,
Yep. Exactly right. That's a cheat code. And I think you hit it on the head 100%. I think at the end of the day, you have sort of the straightforward playbook, the straightforward text, and then you have to have that put into context, right? Yeah. And I think it's really tough also to see those results when you're thinking about assessments and when you're thinking about sort of self-awareness, because you have to really, really, really be honest with yourself, and you have to really have thick skin, I guess, and be comfortable to see what those are, because the only way that you can sort of improve.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I think that's, you know, I don't know. It was hard for me early on in my career, I think, to accept the fact that I was struggling and needed a mentor. But that was kind of one of the things. It was actually probably the thing that it's the reason why I do this podcast. It's the reason why I really got into leadership. And I've told the story before, but I don't mind. I'll indulge in it again. I was a manager. I got promoted to manager because, like a lot of companies, they take the person that's doing good at their skill. So like I was a good coder, right? I was writing good code, so they promoted me to be a manager of the people that wrote
Sure.
code. And I sucked at that because it's a very different skill set.
Sure.
And they after like about a year, they made us all the new managers that were leading people for the first time within the first year go through this training. And at the end of the training, they encouraged everybody to asked for a mentor, and they said, we'll have mentors available from executives. And I remember someone telling me that if you can get a mentor that's one of your EVPs at your company or something like that, you can probably grow faster in the company. I thought, well, I'll do that. So I asked all the C levels and EVPs at the company to be my mentor, and pretty much they all shot me down except for one guy, and his name was Greg. And when I met with Greg, he really helped me out. And it was an awesome conversation because he told me, he's like, I don't know if I'll be a good mentor or not. I've never done this before, but hopefully I can, help you out, and maybe I'll learn something too. And we had this great relationship, and he would call BS when I would have it. He would, give me the hard truths. And I remember I had 2 people quit on the same day. And I only had a team of 6. So that's a third of my team quit the same day. And he asked me, all the hard questions like, why do you think they quit? Why do you think they left? What was the reasoning? And I gave him the BS excuse of, well, they make more money, at the bank, so they're taking contract positions at the bank, which was true, but it's not the reason why they quit. And he said, yeah. He's like, as much as what you're saying, it may seem true to you right now, that's not why people quit. They quit because of their boss. And who's their boss? And I was like, well, I'm their boss. He's like, then you're probably doing a bad job of being their boss.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And then he pointed me in the direction of where I should go to kind of learn leadership and why that's important, and not just managing day-to-day tasks, but understanding that your purpose as a good manager and a good leader is to grow the people under you. And if you're not actively doing that and finding ways to grow those people, you're going to lose them. And and that kind of led me on this journey.
Right. And I think it's very common. I think there's a really important nuance there in your introduction, which is you're an excellent developer, you're an excellent programmer, you're excellent with technology, but the managerial role is very different, right?
Yes.
And so same thing for an excellent marketer, individual contributor, right? I might have been earlier in my career, amazing content marketer, product marketer, SEO, whatever you want to call it, from a marketing background. But then when you're running a whole team and you're hiring, that's the first time I've done that. Or when you're leading or managing, that's the first time I've done that, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's very, very different from being the best person who can attract millions of interns to an internships marketplace, or hundreds of thousands of businesses to post listings and create an unbelievable community that's working online and be very proud of that. That's very different from hiring people, managing people, and enabling them to succeed. And so that's that. Leadership, no one's cracked it, right? It's one of these things where you're going down this journey all the time. But I think it's great to have that mentor. It's great to have, I think it was Greg you mentioned in your case, but it's great to have that sounding board, and it's great to have people in your corner. I think when you're a leader, it's a lonely place because you're no longer, part of that group. You're responsible for pushing that group forward, and so you need to have others in a similar position that are there to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And so let's back it up a little bit. You mentioned this great recession and things that we've been going through, and as a leader of multiple teams, it's kind of one of those things where I'm always concerned about turnover and people leaving, and I've kind of prided myself in reducing turnover and having pretty good rates, but right now it's really hard. What can we as tech leaders or leaders in anywhere do to kind of improve that retention rate and help employees want to stay?
Yeah. So I think retention starts with authenticity and sort of being honest and mm-hmm. kind of looking, at the strengths and weaknesses of your organization. So there's like a famous quote, right, from Mark Twain: if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything else.
Yeah.
So I think that's important for leaders, and that's important for anyone who's in a managerial role to understand, am I understanding the pulse of the organization? So learn and listen, right? Active listening to your team, communication. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing great? I think a great leading indicator for retention is referrals. So one of the cool things is if people are working at your company and referring others when there are jobs open, that's pretty amazing, pretty strong start, right? If 10, 20, 30, 40% of your new hires are referrals, let's say you had 10 new teammates join in the last year, if 3, 4, 5 of those are from others that already work there versus going out there and having to find someone on LinkedIn or Indeed or through a new recruiter, that's very strong. They like to work there. They're inviting their friends or past colleagues to work there, right? So you can already tell, do you have that healthy environment, right? I think that's a pretty strong indicator. Another one to me is, I try to be as open and as authentic as possible from a communication perspective. So we love disagreement. We love open conversations. We don't really love hierarchical, stay in our own silos and not communicating, right? So for us at Intoo, we have 4 what we call sort of key values, and there's speed, innovation, collaboration, and caring. And I think we over communicate those as leaders, right? So it's my role as a CEO, but it's also every other category, department leader, division leader's role to really live those every day. So I think if you're honest and you over communicate with your team and they know what to expect, that's a pretty strong indicator of a culture that you can build that can lead to retention. And then I think from a more practical perspective as well, if you're thinking about, tips or things to do, you can never provide enough recognition. This is something that I've been very weak in earlier in my career and have learned to build that muscle, because I personally was never driven so much by positive recognition. I was sort of one of these, sports soccer people. I wanted the coach to like push me and challenge me, and sort of like you had with your mentor tell you like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, and like get better. And like I really like to be pushed and challenged. I was maybe too competitive, hyper competitive in early in my career or early in my life. But I think most people, what I've learned after working with hundreds or thousands of people, is that they actually really prefer and approach kind of recognition in a positive way or positive feedback. And some prefer it privately and some prefer it publicly, right? There isn't a one size fits all approach, but I really focus on recognition. So one thing that we do, I'll just give one last example. People, please feel free to copy and paste it. If you do copy and paste this and implement this at your organization, shoot me an email, or find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear how it goes. But every Friday, we have an email that goes out that we call our chain of recognition. So every Friday at Intoo, one individual, let's call it John, nominates somebody else. Let's call it her Mira. And John says, this week, Mira is Intoo's recipient of our chain of recognition. And John writes a couple sentences or a couple paragraphs on why. What has she done? Is it speed? Is it innovation? Is it collaboration? Is it caring? And the whole organization gets that email. It's my favorite email to receive on Friday afternoon. The whole organization gets that email. And the next week, the chain continues with Mira. So Mira was the previous Friday's recipient, and she, the next week, nominates someone else. So every single Friday, we have a chain going from one individual to another, talking about what we're so happy about with our colleagues, what we value in them, why they're a great teammate. And it's just a friendly reminder, one, of the importance of recognition, but two, end of the week, work is hard, work is challenging, we're virtual, people have lives, they have families, they have friends, they have health issues, they have stressors, but we're all in it together. And look at one individual writing about something else that another one's done. And sometimes it's brand new learning for me. I didn't even know these people were working together on a project in the company. I didn't even know this person was such a great, describer of some of the things that we do from a project or a tactics perspective. So it's the organization's ability to learn and to really recognize. And I think it goes a long way. People have told me that they really appreciate getting those emails as well, and receiving those emails. So it's an easy, free, no-cost way to say, let's recognize each other And what does it take to write one email when you receive the recognition, or to read an email on Friday? It's a very low calories item.
Yeah, I think that's cool. We did something similar like that at my last company where we had the Getting Stuff Done award. That we did it monthly though, and
Yep.
like each person on the team would pick someone else to get it. Like once you got it, then you were the person in charge of picking the next person to get the Getting Stuff Done award for that month. Yeah, I
I
think
think
that,
that's a great
yeah,
parallel, and just because you want participation from your team. No one wants to be spoken to top down, right? The best experiences in high school or in college or in any academic setting are with your peers. They're with your classmates. They're not just with the professor telling you something or the teacher telling you something. You want that community, right? And
yeah.
so this sort of reinforces that, because it's peer to peer, it's colleague to colleague. It's not just the chairman's chat, right? It's everyone participating together.
Yeah, and I think it's important to that it's coming from other peers and not like you say, not just from the boss. But I know for me, some of the best feedback that I ever got was actually the feedback that once I heard it, I got kind of pissed off. I didn't want to hear it. But
Yep.
it took someone
Yep.
after that shock of like, that's awful. Then they flipped and went into the caring. I'm telling you this because I know we can improve upon it, and I know we can help it move forward.
Exactly.
But it took, if they just would have been just positive, I probably wouldn't have received the necessary change, because I would have always said, oh well, I'm pretty good at this. The bad stuff I just won't worry about. But to get that feeling that I wasn't caring for my employees' growth, in a way that kind of like pissed me off. Because I'm like, well, I'm getting my projects done. I'm getting stuff done.
Yep.
I needed that sometimes, that kick in the pants.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think it's hard, but I think you're only going to be successful as a leader or manager if you take in that feedback honestly, and I
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
really love it, and I welcome that, right? I think it's really, really tough, and I think that's what separates someone who can be a leader, a manager of a productive team, versus a leader and a manager of a productive, happy, retained, growing team.
Yep, correct. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's super important to do that, and to do it in the right way. Because if you're always just negative and like telling people what they're doing wrong all the time, nobody's going to listen to you.
Yep.
You're going to lose those friends pretty quickly. You've got to balance that, and I think a good coach and a good mentor is the people that can do that.
Exactly right.
So you mentioned you have mentors kind of on demand and ready to go. How does that model work exactly? So if I'm head of HR and I know that we need a mentorship or something like that, or a coaching program at our company, a career coach of some sort, but we don't do it today. We don't know how to get started. What do we do to get that ball rolling?
Yeah. So for us, we work with the organization. We understand what their main challenges are. We sort of have a couple of different tracks. Do you want to change? Do I want to grow? Do I want to lead?
Hmm.
And we work with them to understand, what department, what categories of employees are eligible for this. And really, we view our career development and our career coaches as sort of like a compass,
Hmm.
career navigator almost. So you're going on this journey, and we're here to help you. So that might mean something as something as clear and defined as helping you with your resume, your cover letter, and your internal job applications, right? Real projects, to something as long term or as undefined as self awareness, assessments, communication, qualitative, and soft skills. So we work and sort of prioritize with the organization of what's needed. I think just the act of even offering career development and even offering career coaching and personal development is an unbelievable benefit to employees, because they say, wow, my organization cares about me. I could spend hours or days telling you about each tactic, each software, each career coach. That's not for today. But there is obviously the importance of execution and choosing the right program and the
Hmm.
right approach. But even just saying that you're going to run the race, you're going to sign up. I'm going to do this 5K, right? Just the act of starting, I think, is amazing, because most organizations don't even do that. And so employees really feel that they're being supported, and you're investing in their time and investing in their growth, and that leads to really positive interactions.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and it's. I think when someone sees that they have a company behind them that wants to see them grow in their career and doesn't want to just like keep them doing the same job over and over again and not advancing, then you want to stay at that company. So that circles back to that retention rate and how to improve that by showing that there's opportunities here. There's not just a dead end job.
Exactly right. Career pathways. Exactly
Yes,
right.
career pathways. That's the right
People
word.
are looking for that. They're looking for their career pathways, looking for their future, and they're looking to get upskilled and trained. And I think if you're an organization that's offering that, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. Intoo, of course, is one of those, but there are also things like online courses and edX and Coursera, right? I think that goes a long way because it shows that you have the mindset of an innovative organization, shows you're forward thinking, and shows you care about your people. That's a great first step. It's a true benefit, right? It's a true benefit in the sense of the word.
Yeah, it's more than just like medical or dental. It's really like something
Correct.
that could change your life.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. Yep. And
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's exactly correct.
Yeah, I've seen people at other companies where they have programs like this go from being a call center. Actually, I had an employee of mine. He was a call center rep, just doing customer service call center, and because of opportunities within the company to for education reimbursement and things like that, was able to shift over, become a developer, and is now like a project manager. So to have that career path of going from customer service call center to being a software developer, software engineer, to becoming a project manager, all in the span of less than 5 or 6 years, is incredible growth in just salary, opportunity, lifestyle changes. It's a huge deal, and to be able to make that change and transition, all because the company valued their people in a way that they were allowing them and offering resources to guide them in a different career if they wanted to.
Exactly. And I think that example is one that you're going to see hopefully more and more in the coming decade, because organizations are going to realize the value of that training is much better and more cost effective. It's not just for people, right? We're on a podcast talking about leadership, people, retention, recognition, and career development and pathways, because we care about that and we work in those industries. And the cool thing is it doesn't have to be an either or, and it's also smart business wise and finance wise for an organization, because it costs way more to hire someone new when they leave than it does to train them and retain them, right?
Correct.
So it's something like the cost of replacing an employee can range from like half to 2 times their salary depending on the role and the productivity, right? So if you move from the call center to the engineer, programmer, to the project manager role, and they're all within that company, you've saved thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in lost productivity, time, training, recruiting, and hiring for replacements in those roles. Unbelievable. Yep. So it's doing the right thing by the person, which should always be number one, and it's doing the right thing for the company's sustainability and efficacy in terms of managing their capital and their growth. So it's really amazing when things align from the employer and employee perspective. You don't always see that in every single category in the workforce, but in this example around career pathways and growth, it is perfect alignment between employer and employee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I don't even know how to say it any better than what you just did there. So that's awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate having you on the show. I feel like I've learned a lot about, the importance of growing, the teams, and hopefully we can, encourage other leaders to do that and realize that if you take that extra, couple of hours and invest in people and let people know that there's opportunities, even if it's not with your company. That's one of the things that I've always done is, even if there's not a job with my company, I want you to grow outside the company, because the last thing I want to do is have an employee here that's not happy because they're not living up to the potential that they could be somewhere else. I would rather them, spread their wings and fly outside and become better to create an opportunity internally for someone else and to benefit themselves too. I think that's so I think that's really important for leaders to understand that and move forward. So
absolutely, totally agree, and I think it's great to continue to reinforce that message, even if it's your experienced leader or manager or a new leader or manager. Kind of the focus on understanding your people and putting them first will lead you down the right pathway.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, just tell the audience a little bit about how they can connect with you offline, outside the podcast or online, and how they can learn more about the stuff that Intoo's kind of doing right now, and how that can be beneficial to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. First name Yair, Yair. Last name Riemer, Riemer. Most importantly, if you want to learn more about Intoo, it's intoo.com. Again, shoot me an email, find me on LinkedIn. Happy to provide. We have tons of great free resources, content on career development, content on managing change during a career transition, having hard conversations, communication, growth, assessments. Really passionate about the space. We're always kind of benchmarking and having reports. If there's anything that you need on from a career development perspective, career coaching side, reach out. We're happy to find it for you. If we don't have it already on file, we'll go find it from a partner, from an HR leader, and get it your way. So it's intoo.com. Intoo.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, John. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed that episode, please leave a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. I'd greatly appreciate that. And also, don't forget to check out merch. We have some T-shirts that I've designed that are on at geekleader.com. You can click on the merchandise section there and check that out. And also, don't forget about the books from our guests. So if you like this guest and other guests that have written books, please go ahead and check that out at geekleader.com. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure they would too.